In the previous video I did just a little few minutes ago, I really actually most of the time I don't pay attention to dates, times, names, letters, numbers. And if you are what love is, it goes on forever. You understand why that is, right? Because there is no time. There's only energy. The energy that you're experiencing, what you're experiencing at the completion of a magnetic circuit. So if you're running a single pole, right, like a fire pole, right, you're spiraling down and climbing up, right? So your vortex, which is your heart will, which is your heart and soul consciousness, and the essence of your spirit, the nature of your spirit. I'm still a child. So I was thinking about, because of the changes that are taking place right now, and I've mentioned this in a few other videos I've done. It's what they call torque displacement differential, like a differential on your automobile, right? Gears, torque. Anybody that's ever been to a drag strip and watched them burn their tires, but they're not moving. They're simply holding space, but those wheels are moving in the rear, burning a lot of rubber and generating an enormous amount of smoke and putrid odor on the asphalt. That's called standing in place and spinning your wheels. Right? Okay. So in this case, when I was watching the video with Maria Colvin Hill, I realized that the sound buffering, or what we call a torque displacement differential in speed between what I'm experiencing through her and where I'm at, is not the same, because they're not matched up between the sound and the video. AV, audio, video, they're not matched up. That is a significant change. Not that I haven't experienced that throughout my life. I have. When you're running the highest torque speed as a single mated chip, which means I'm not binary. Okay. Binary artificial intelligence is not compatible with heart-based soul consciousness led by spirit. Thank you, Harold, for mentioning that. So one of the things that I wanted to, and this is simply historical, but this is how it works, and I realize that I'm either speaking to the choir and they already know this because they've experienced it from what they learn in their mirror, right? Because they're running a higher rate of speed, right? In their water worlds with their soul consciousness, experiencing running a hot mirror with a high speed love vibration. But you can see in a historical way, and I mentioned this before, about what they did to the native clans and Indians. Put them on reservations. They never honor their treaties. They're liars. They cheat, steal, gamble, prostitution, drugs, rape people, murder people, right? They're evil. So you realize that you're on a spiritual battlefield. And you're taking on all the worst things that can possibly imagine, that are done to do what? Harvest your soul's energy. That's the bottom line. So that you know, when you come into the underworld, when they invaded Eden, you're experiencing, you got to protect your soul. And that's your spirit, which is in your mirror, running a hot mirror, which is an enormous amount of light, because it's running hot, because you have an enormous amount of energy that represents what love is. That's your protection. Okay. So they're desperate, and you can see their desperation, because they knew this day was coming. Now how do I put this? They advertised that in one of their movies called Terminator. The one before that, I believe, was called Rise of the Machines, Terminator, Rise of the Machines. So here's something you might want to think about. Imagine that everywhere that you go, machines are doing all the work for you, and you don't have to do anything, right? Just go out and play, have fun. They're delivering everything to you. That would be called what? Dystopia? Because you don't know the difference between being assimilated, which is what it is, and not being what it is that isn't. And that would be a difference in a mirror. So I knew as a child, I'm not an AI mirror. Okay? I'm not what it is. I am what I am because I'm a mated chip, which is a powerful oversoul. So you know that that's the one. A single love vibration is a single pole, which is a mated chip. So you know that atom that's running the highest speed vibration of a love vibration is gifting love energy wherever we go. Right? So that's the law of one, which is the law of spheres. So one of the things that they were doing that I mentioned a long time ago was they were herding people into cities. And remember, they're smart enough to know how change takes place over time vectors. And that's what I'm noticing now, because I notice it. I'm paying attention to how much change is actually taking place in space. So what have I noticed recently? The visual information field on my phone has changed. It used to be if I wanted to send a message because of something I put up on Facebook, right? It would simply give me a little window that would say, okay, send it to a group, put it on your story, send it in Messenger, right? Like a menu. That's changed. Now I have these little logos with the pictures that are represented by the logos that are on the pages of those that are friends of mine in the Messenger window. So my window has changed. So what I'm paying attention to is how fast is this AI changing out what we see in our visual information field. Very fast, because it's trying to keep up with the amount of changes that it knows that is taking place through us. Okay? So it's in a race against itself, which means it's chasing its tail, which is why it's time looping everything through those that have their mind's energy connected to the internet, to their laptops, to their phones. Looping. Looping is not a spiral that goes up as above, so below. And that's why the sound buffering between Maria Colvin Hill is presenting information that I was aware of as a child. That means that this information that she's presenting to all those identities on her page, I've already experienced. Now we're back to the photosynthesis, or the photo that's on a box, right? Now we're going to pull apart all those pixels, throw them out on a tabletop, and we're going to put it back together. These are the games they play, which are known as AI war gamers. They're gaming for your soul's consciousness, which is your mind's energy. Okay? And that's one of the things about Prince when I put that little thing up, when he talked about the computer is cool, but don't let the computer get on you. Because they're gaming for your mind's energy, which is your soul. And that's the truth of it. So what they wanted to do was to get everybody addicted. We all know what addictions are. You're addicted to potato chips, you're addicted to cookies, you're addicted to French fries, you're addicted to everything that they present. Now you're running essentially what are known as math codes or information codes that's represented by the visual information you're experiencing. When you see a hamburger that's holding in your hand, that's visual information, isn't it? That's all math codes that are running to put that together to build that hamburger. Now you're simulating eating a hamburger. Now you're simulating eating potato chips. Okay? So this is the game that they play. So what that means is that you're experiencing what it is you're consuming by the numbers that are in the field, which is visual information. So it's wanting to change the information all the time at a very high rate of speed because it's trying to catch up to the changes taking place that is faster when it is. So that's like a snake or a dog, if you've ever seen, chasing its tail. Right? It's not going up. It's going in circles, going in circles, going in circles. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. All I need to do is go in circles. I'm looping, I'm looping, I'm looping, I'm looping, I'm looping. On the horizontal plane. Right? Elevation, altitude, density, and consciousness, a rotating plume, a mushroom cloud. Critical mass expansion of consciousness, experiencing more love through their heart, clear their circuits. They heal? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what they do is they know how to introduce changes over time space vectors. So then you go, okay, well, I was holding one thing in memory, but they're changing what's happening now that I become aware of, which is different than before. So are we going in a negative direction or are we going in a positive direction, which means we're going to have a positive future? Well, you would know by what's being introduced in your visual information field and the energy that you're experiencing with your soul and the essence of your spirit of experiencing more powerful energy. Are you experiencing more love everywhere you go? So one of the things that I realized when I was about 21 years of age, because I grew up with all the programming from the time I was a child, is when I hit the island of Kauai in 1972 and I lived in a treehouse where everything was already provided for us. So I realized I don't need a job. I don't need any money. Wow. I'm no longer dependent on them. I'm no longer in their big box stores. I'm no longer having to go to their schools. I'm not buying into all their crap because I'm living in a world that's full of demons. So quit feeding the demons. Quit feeding the vampires. Mama's giving you everything that you need, which is plant medicine, which is higher energy. Okay, so that banged into my consciousness, which is my soul when I'm 20 years of age, right? And so I'm going, yeah, that's what they wanted to do. That's what they did to the Indians in the 1850s, put them on reservations, put them in schools, put everybody in their schools. Now they become slave to the corporate galactic slave trader market, right? That's what they do. So they want you dependent on them. And once you become dependent on them for everything that you do as a result of the jobs that you do for which they cut the paycheck, what happens? They're your controllers. Because you've been programmed that way to do that, to get on your knees and obey your master, which is what? A paycheck that they cut. And I experienced that when I worked at Rockwell International, when they were dumping gazillions of gallons of ethyl bad stuff that they were dumping into the groundwater, upon which ends up in tap water, and you already know what that's going to do to newborns. So when I make mention of that, even to my fellow firefighters, and bring it to the attention of my immediate supervisor, I'm told to turn a blind eye because look at all the money I'm making. Oh, so money's more important than life, huh? Is that what you're telling me? Yeah, that's exactly what they were telling me. So if I believed that, then I had to say to myself, listen, I'm making $80,000 a year, and this was like 1982, right? And I'm going, I'm doing pretty good from a material point of view because I can go out and buy myself a brand new truck if I want. Oh, look what I got now, right? So I have all this material stuff, all these things I can accumulate. I can buy all this stuff because of the money that they're paying me. But I'm held captive by a company that is committing crimes and they're paying me to turn a blind eye. That makes me a criminal. That means I'm participating in a war crime and getting paid to do it. How many of those beings we got on this planet that are working for companies that are committing war crimes by getting cut paychecks in order to be dependent on those that commit crimes, not only against them? And that came out in a movie called The Expendables, which means you're expendable. When they're done with it, they'll just kill you. Okay? So that means there wasn't very many people that were awake, at least when I grew up, that realized you don't have a future with these folks, and never did. Okay? Because you're in their domain box, which is the underworld. And that's pretty self-evident for anybody. All they had to do was look at the visual information by reading your first newspaper. So they want you all dependent on them, because once you're dependent on them, they have control over what you experience in your space. That's the battleground. Space invaders. They invaded Eden. Okay? So we're done with them. And they know that. That's why this AI is doing everything it can to maintain what it's aware of, which is itself, which is your super soldier program. Go look up Kruger, the Dark Fleet. Right? The real cavalry showed up. The one is here. Eve is here. Mama Earth is here with us. Relax. We won this already. Have a great day. I love you all.